teaching on one laptop and doing this on another. So as you can see, wow, that was loud. As you can see, we have Explore. Now, up here at the top, I want my students to be able to explore the difference in maps. The Mercator projection, for those of you who teach social studies or in the elementary world where you guys kind of talk about map skills, you'll talk about the Mercator projection. And, you know, the higher level they get, the more they get to question that projection. So I'd like them to be able to use this. So I copy the link, of course, Control-C, and then I want them to be able to use the link. So I will say, okay, so Mercator projection errors. Now, here's what is not a Hyperdoc. Just dropping that ugly link in there. That's not what we want to do. What we'd like to do is take that link and we'll highlight where we'd like it to go. You can either touch the little link up here or you can right click and it'll give it. Sorry guys, I'm doing this without a mouse. You can also right click it and it'll give you access to the link. So you put it in here, Control-V, and you drop that link. Now, when a student goes to view this file, goes to view this doc, they don't have to go, Miss Grindstaff, where's that website again about the map or whatever? All they do is come in here. If you hover over it and click, it takes you to the Mercator projection website. That is how simple it is to create a Hyperdoc. That is the crux of it. I'm going to show you some quick, some other examples that I've used, but in the most basic form. A Hyperdoc is a Google Doc or slide that allows your students to access resources, assignments, assessments, and reflections through a single document. Instead of having to upload 30 links or create 30 files or send them to go 30 places, it's all in here. Now, that's super weird when we first get to use it, but I will tell you, it will change your life. All right, get the slide back. All right, now, how do you start that creation? That backwards design is still ridiculously important. I have started with a really cute template that I wanted to use and like a couple of links that I wanted to use and tried to curate a Hyperdoc. It was a hot mess of epic proportions. It was awful. If you do not start with the end in mind, it doesn't matter what tool you use, it's not going to work for you. Start finding links. I actually have a blank Google document that I just dump links and a description into. So I'll put like, it would say Mercator projection, what I just showed you guys. And then I would just drop the link in there so that it's easy to find as I go through. And then you're going to pick a format or a template. I'm going to show you those in just a second. Then you start adding your Hyperdocs into that template that you've either created or worked your way around and found, and then you go live. Now, that link that I added yesterday, oh my gosh, it stopped working. What do I do? Well, if you've printed it and handed it to your kids, you now have to actually scratch out that link. No, we're not going to use that. If you use a Hyperdoc, then you're super lucky because all you got to do is open it back up and fix the link, and you're right back where you're going. So it creates a really awesome learning experience and live experience that you guys can kind of get through. All right, so let's talk about some stuff. So if you download the presentation, you're going to get these links. The first one is here. These are basic Hyperdoc templates. You're going to see a lesson plan and then a sample. So we've got Explore, Explain, and Apply, which is what I use the most that we're going to see in just a second. The 5 E's are fantastic. And then down here with a workshop model, if you love the workshop model and that's how you run your class with morning meetings and you do the whole work, This is an amazing, amazing template. So it's an awesome way to get in. Now, hop back. Now, you do not need to make your own Hyperdoc starting out. You do not need to reinvent the wheel. That link right there takes you to the samples. Now, let's say that you are a math teacher and you really are not 100% sure if this whole Hyperdoc thing's going to work for you. So if you click into the samples, what you're going to see when it, because now it's not going to load. There it goes. Here's a 5th grade geometry one. These are free for you to use. You just have to give Creative Commons credit. Everything on here is free for you to use, remix, and change, and whatever's going to fit your classroom. Now, you got a Hyperdoc you really love, you could even upload it to this Google Drive for other teachers to use. But you have great things like addition strategies, these link to quizzes, you've got math reviews. For right now, I have seen a lot of these too. And there's a couple other ones. I have seen them a lot in some of our elementary links because they're great. They may not perfectly align to a North Carolina standard, but you can certainly go in and clean them up as you feel fit. So I'm going to take a pause right here and see if there's anything in the back channel that Chris wants me to tackle before we move on and I start showing you guys some of my examples.
All right, there's a lot of great questions going on. I'm trying to answer them.
Okay.
One, let me just pull some questions that I haven't answered. Can you link an image in the doc?
Absolutely. You can link it or you can just embed it. It's up to you. I tend to embed the links. Embed the picture. But if it's a picture you want them to read everything around it, then yeah, you can absolutely link to a picture.
And you can also put a hyperlink on a picture.
Absolutely. I'm a fan of that now. That's how we do fun things.
And then people are asking, can you use Hyperdocs in Canvas and Google Classroom?
Absolutely. I'm going to show you in just a second how basically Hyperdocs saved my Google Classroom. And yes, if I'm not mistaken, you can embed a document in Canvas and that document can be a Hyperdoc. I am not a Canvas person. I will tell you that is on my to-do list for this summer is to kind of learn and transition into Canvas. But I love Google Docs and I use Hyperdocs constantly in Google Classroom, constantly. Everything from my lesson plans to my student assignments, I would probably say 75% of what I upload into Google Classroom is a Hyperdoc. Anything else for us before we move on? Okay. All right. So now, explore, apply, reflect. The collaboration part of a Hyperdoc comes through its existence. Students can all access the same material or different material if it's needed. So if you're an inclusion teacher, you can give Hyperdocs that look just like everybody else's, but have those extra built-in helps for those teachers if needed, or excuse me, those students. But Hyperdocs create a space where students work towards a common academic goal through inquiry and exploration. I want to jump up and down and yell this. This is how you work smarter, not harder. This is where you get the opportunity to become a facilitator, to step back and let those students do the digging and the hard work and the heavy lifting of their learning through the exploration piece. Now, if you have students that need scaffolding, like filled in notes, audio text, I'll show you how we do all that in a minute. Application. After your students do the heavy lifting of the learning, on the same document, you can then create a space where they can apply their knowledge. Now, they may not do the work on that actual document, but you can link to it. So if students struggle, if students need some help, if students need refreshers, they're not trying to figure out, oh, now where was that? Oh, darn, where was that video I watched? Wait a minute, where was that link? It's all in the same spot. And it creates an epic opportunity for growth. And then finally, reflection. This creates multiple means for self and group reflection throughout the completion of the doc. If your students are going through and going, Miss G, I don't get it. What exactly are you asking me to do here? You can then stop. You can upload a Flipgrid video with directions. You can write the directions more clearly. You can add an example on the fly. So you're reevaluating, reassessing, reflecting, and growing the document in real time, which is something that we don't often get a chance to do. It's pretty amazing. All right, so I was wrong. There's two things I want you to remember from this. Once again, not just that Jamboard will save your life, is less is more. As teachers, we tend to want to throw everything at our kids. I was horrible about this. I really feel like I should go back to my old middle school students and apologize for how bad my early Hyperdocs were, because I just tossed stuff at them. Because I thought that by giving them access to more, that I was helping. Oftentimes, I was just confusing them or overwhelming them. So less is more. The goal of a Hyperdoc activity is not to throw everything at students. It's to create a well-curated document for growth and exploration. It's to allow the students to do the heavy lifting. It's to allow the students to do the exploration. It's to allow students to own their learning in a new way. Now, I feel like I also want to add this little caveat. This is not just for distance learning. I have used Hyperdocs in my classroom all year for everything I do. I've used them for quite a while otherwise, but I've run my entire classroom off Hyperdocs, and I'm about to show you how. All right. Oh, I got one more slide. For my EC teachers, my inclusion teachers, Hyperdocs are some of the best ways to differentiate for your students. If you have students that are very low readers or even beginning readers at certain levels, but they're still being asked to accept and work through grade level text, you can easily build in that scaffolding into the doc itself without any other student ever being aware of it. If you use Google Classroom, you probably know you can send a document just to one student or multiple students. You don't have to send it to the whole class. So at this point last semester, I think it was between my classes, I think I had 18 IEPs and 504s, and with no inclusion teacher support. So I spent a lot of time building that scaffolding into what I did. And for those students, a lot of them got pre-filled notes. So I would just link to those pre-filled notes for those students only. And everyone else, it looked exactly the same. Everyone else would get the notes I needed to fill in. But for those extra students, when they clicked on their link, it would already be pre-filled. Like Higgy said earlier, you can hyperlink a picture. So if you have students that are moderately intellectually or physically disabled, if they can click, they can use Hyperdocs. So these really give your students some ownership in their learning in a new way. All right, so how I use them, because it's all about me. I'm going to show you 4 specifics of how I use Hyperdocs. There's three of mine, and then one of my amazing Spanish teacher. So I'll show you my lesson plan. So this is a Hyperdoc. My students know that when they walk in the door, the first thing they do, we are a one-to-one district. When they walk in the door, they pull this up and open up the lesson plan immediately. It's posted in Google Classroom as a view-only document. They cannot change it. And by the way, you will have access to this. And if you want to use any of this, please feel free to make a copy. You have absolutely all rights to make a copy. But see that reading is right there at the top. We're done. Those unit standards, boom, right there. No need to write them on the board every morning because they're right there. There are those student learning objectives. Here are those I can statements can go right here. And that way your students always have access to it. It makes your board cleaner. It makes things a little bit faster. And for this particular one, this is just a table. Actually, it's a bunch of little tables. But I just have the day, and I have the essential question. Yes, less writing for me on the board. And then I have access to their Nearpod. If you don't know what Nearpod is, Nikki, oh Lord, she's gonna smack me because I just went blank. One of our colleagues is doing an amazing session today on using Nearpod. Nikki Holland, and it's Nikki Holland and Donna Hyatt are doing an amazing session on Nearpod. If it has opened up, please check it out. It's wonderful. But you have access to the Nearpod here. Then this is access to a document. This is where I lay out the rules and responsibilities for the Socratic seminar. So I don't have to waste 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the beginning of class setting up my seminar. My students know when they walk in, this is what we're doing, this is where we're running. I will link to their bell ringers. Here's another one. If you don't know Vox Pop, they're a new company, they're fantastic, they're gonna change the world. But Shay's Rebellion, we went in and we had this together. Oh, look, now we're going to work on the Constitutional Convention. Here's a link to a presentation that I want students to look at and review while they're going through their learning. So this is a unit plan. This is what I used every day last semester, thanks to Chris Higginbotham, all things techie amazingness. Now, another thing I'd like to show you is more of an assignment-based Hyperdoc. Once again, this is just a table with, like I showed you guys earlier, this is just a table with color. Now, Chris Higginbotham and I, and you're going to hear that name a lot because I love me some Higgy, developed a way to teach the entire Civil War and Reconstruction to high schoolers through centers. Yes, you can do centers in high school. Anybody who says you can't, yes, you can. So this is one of the greatest things. I have their tool that they need right here on the left-hand side. Everything that they need is right there. They know their expectations are right here under the year task. They know what 2 stations they're going to be visiting that day. And then it gives them clear instructions of where they need to go, step by step by step. Now, Higgy and I like pictures. We like neat stuff. We like using fun little fonts. If that makes you uncomfortable, allow me to show you what my Spanish teacher did. Our former teacher of the year, Heather Martin, is a rock star, and she was just a little uncomfortable with all the boxes, and she was afraid her students would get confused because they'd never used them. So she created a super simple but very effective Hyperdoc. Students can easily see where they need to go and what they needed to do. She almost creates it like a checkbox where they can go, okay, I'm done with that. Okay, now I'm done with that. And it's very clear, step by step by step, what these students need to do. What an awesome way to use a Hyperdoc if you're a little uncomfortable with them. It's a super easy way to kind of get your feet wet with it if you weren't 100%. Now, her students are used to this kind of activity-driven exercise. So this is what they expected. So when they got this Hyperdoc, they knew exactly what they were supposed to do because it followed and matched what she did in class. The template doesn't matter. The setup doesn't always matter. As long as it's clear, your students understand it, and they feel comfortable going through the steps by themselves or with just a small amount of guidance, then your Hyperdoc is successful. It doesn't always have to be flashy. Sometimes, once again, less is more. All right. Now, another thing I absolutely love about Hyperdocs is they're never done. They're never a finished product. They are a living, breathing document that allow you to kind of dig in and do some reflection on the fly. So we are all in the middle of crisis mode right now. We have all taken everything we've been trying to do all year, flipped it on its ear, spun it around a little bit. You cut it in half again, and tried to make it ready for your students to be able to access it either digitally or via packet or however it had to work. Now, I know a lot of students don't have internet access, and we have a lot of equity issues. I will tell you, I hope that we as a state can really kind of move towards having some more internet equity, but I've been very lucky that the majority of first of all, we're a one-to-one school. I have an amazing administration who has gone out of their way to make sure that we got everything that we needed and that our students had access. And I'm hearing those amazing stories across the state. This is how I shrunk my unit plans for distance learning. So we all know students can't always meet for synchronous sessions. So I put some videos in here. Now, some students may not have the best internet access, so I also put the transcripts for those videos right here. And for some students, they just don't like John Green. I love John Green. I love Crash Course. Some of my kids can't stand him. So what I did was you can also link to a Google folder. And I did just that. So in this folder is the PDF of the book we use and all the audio recordings from the website. So it's all there. It's done. It's easy. Set. So now my kids have access. And on the right-hand side, in this box here, I really give them those essential questions to really dig in and think about. And one of their assignments is to answer those questions for me. And they're really simple to do, and it really kind of gets them to dig in. I go back to my Nearpods. Once again, please go see Nikki Holland's Nearpod this afternoon. It's going to be amazing. And if you don't get a chance to get into the session, hopefully you can access it after, because I love Nearpod. But they're going to explain what they learned up here in the Nearpod. I do a lot of audio responses. I do a lot of open-ended responses. We do polling, all of that in here to really get them to explain what they think they understand.
Hi, Julie.
Oh.
Some people, they've asked you to stop for a minute, but I don't know what the question is.
Okay.
So if that person who asked, if you have a specific question, but someone did ask, and I'm sorry for interrupting you.
You're
here.
not. I was almost to a stop point.
Someone did ask, could you quickly show again how to embed the hyperlink?
Absolutely. So let's
and we'll see if the person who asked if you could stop for a minute has that question that they could type in here or turn on their mic and ask.
Great. All right. So
Hey, Hey, that was me to ask if you could stop for a minute. The document.
I can't see you.
Can you hear me?
Sorry. I can hear you, but what's your name? I'm sorry, I can't see your name.
Mary Ann.
Hi, Mary. What can I do for you?
The doc that you showed a few minutes ago that had the different tables with that. That's an example of what you would use in class, correct?
Yes, ma'am. This is my unit plan that I run. It goes up the day of the assessment of the previous unit. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fantastic, beautiful. And so I see
I take no credit.
So for example, with like the date 3/4, I see where you've got something that says activity. And so you've hyperlinked a document, right? So the student can go to that document.
Yep. And they can have it open. And then this activity they actually had to debate the Virginia, New Jersey, and Connecticut compromise.
Okay.
And choose which one that they would use. So that help for the assignment there is actually a link to a quick explanation of those 3 plans.
So is the class, so it sounds like your class is very collaborative, right?
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
what it sounds like.
Yes, ma'am.
So do they have like a lot of activities where they actually have to like type answers into a document?
Well, I love that you asked that question, because let's scroll on down to 3.6. What you'll see here is a HIPS form that we do. And that HIPS form is, I'll post it in Google Classroom. Everybody will get a copy of that document that they can write, and they'll actually then type on that and then submit it through Google Classroom.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. How would students are using websites and they're gathering information, but then if you have an assignment, how do they turn it in? So they would just turn it in through that.
Yeah, I usually use Google Classroom. Now, I have some students who prefer to handwrite it, and I'm all about that. So we keep copies of them here on the desk. Yeah, but a lot of what I do is, and we'll talk about this at the end, a lot of what I do is product output based. So a lot of it is them we're facilitating it in class, and they're kind of digging in. We do a lot of talking because, well, I'm a storyteller and I like to talk, and I like it when they talk too. So yeah, we do a lot of writing, and we do most of it. Now, if you didn't want to turn it in through Google Classroom, if you wanted to link to a Google Doc or a Google slide that they could then each write on and create that collaborative space, or a Jamboard where they could go in and create a sticky note to put in there, they could do that as well if you don't want to use Google Classroom as an access point.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome. All right, so let's go back to making the link. All right, so once again, we want to use that Mercator projection. So there's the Mercator projection errors. I'm going to steal that mouse and put it on this computer real quick. Sorry, guys. I'm much better with a mouse than I am with a touchpad, I'll be completely honest. Okay, so this is the link. I go here at the top, and I copy the link. Of course, the Control-C to copy it. Then I go back over here to my document. So projection errors, you can highlight the whole thing. You can highlight one word. It's totally up to you. You can click this link right here, or you can right click and get to the link from here. But you see that Control-K? I would write that down. I use a lot of keyword links. And this is where you get it. And then right here where it says link, you can right click and paste. You can Control-V as in Victor in case, and then hit apply. When you do that, that then takes this and makes it hyperlinked to what you need. So now, really quickly, we'll do this really quickly. If you wanted to do, and if you wanted to do another image, and so let's see, we'll do Jackson Pollock. I'm not sure why I have Jackson Pollock, but we'll use that. So you want to do Jackson Pollock, and you want to insert that link. You can right click on that picture, click that same link, and hit apply. And now that becomes hyperlinked. So there's all kinds of fun ways you can do it. I wouldn't recommend using Jackson Pollock for that, but you could. But yeah, that's super simple. It's that right click and link, or that Control-K will bring up the link as well. Higgy, has anybody got any other questions for me?
Sorry, I'm frantically trying to answer. Let's see. I haven't read this question yet, so I'm just going to read it cold here. Okay. I'm a new elementary school teacher. Is this tool that I can use in my 3rd grade teaching? I'm needing something that offers step-by-step instructions to me and my students.
Yes, 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 and yes, without enough yeses. For elementary, this could be as simple as, and if you wanted to make each box an activity, you could totally do that for when you dig in. If you want to just have it here and at the top, if you wanted to put reading and then have the link here on the side and the name of the story, and then right here, read this story, answer the questions at end. And you could go into it step by step by step. I would implore you, whomever you awesome new 3rd grade teacher are, congratulations, you're a rock star. It gets easier. Go to that Hyperdocs with an S.co and really dig into that. kind of dig into the resources that they have available, because they've got some really great videos. They've got some really great kind of helpful tools and hints. I would really suggest that you dig in there. And then also you can search.
That's me. I'm Twana Ray. I'm the new 3rd grade teacher.
You rock. We got you, girl. Twana, you're going to be fantastic.
Thank you.
You can also search Cult of Pedagogy.
Pedagogy.
And I'll type it. And I'll type it in the chat. But it's Jennifer Gonzalez's Cult of Pedagogy. And if you search Cult of Pedagogy Hyperdocs, you'll find her blog post with the podcast link to it. And these women were elementary school teachers and talked about how they used them.
Okay, so you're going to give me that. Can you give
Yep. I will drop it in the chat in just a few moments. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome.
Another, sorry, go ahead.
How do you get so many rows in one document and you can still read them? Do you go on typing? Or?
Stop.
Hold on just a second. I got too many different conversations. Sorry. How do I get all the rows here?
How do you get it on one page?
Oh, that's the view. If you go to view here, most of the time it's going to automatically go to print layout view. If you go and see how the print layout view puts it like that, if you unclick the print layout view, it'll take away the header and the footer and compress it to make it look like it's one page. Yeah, that's just a layout view. Chris, did you have another question for us, Higgy?
There's one more question, and I think this one's kind of important. How does she do her collaboration? And I'm not sure exactly what was meant by this question, but I'm thinking she's talking about the collaboration with your students. And I had said in the back that, there's different ways you can assign the doc for a collaboration. But one of the big pushes that we have, if everybody can mute their
Guys,
mic.
can we check our mics? Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
And this is Scene from a Canine Addict.
Okay,
And the dog is like all in there.
let me
And
see if
then
I
it's
can.
like all in the face of another.
All right, I think we got the mic muted.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So one of the big things with collaboration is really about the products that we assign. Everything is about what the students are doing, how they're showing their learning. So they were just wanting you to talk about collaboration.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hop over to an assessment that I do. I would love to tell you that normally this is a hyperdoc, but I have unhyperdoced it for students. That way they can really choose whatever their choice is. So students can work with a partner. They can work with. They can choose to work alone. They can work in groups. But each one of them has to give me a product. Even if they work together, I still get an individual product from each student. So a lot of the ways we do this is one of my favorite breakdowns. This is from the Era of Good Feelings through the End of Jackson. And it does we have fun collaboration pieces where students can work together to create a fictional interview. So maybe Julie will be Andrew Jackson, and then Higgy will be the interviewer. But for the next one, they'll switch. And maybe Higgy will be James Monroe, and then Julie will be the interviewer. And they'll create that flip grid so they can interact together and kind of feed off each other. Another one where we do a lot of interaction is I love assigning soundtracks. I ask students to create a soundtrack. This particular one asked the Monroe presidency if it had a soundtrack, what would it be? So I've already gotten one turned in that's got like Celebrate from Kool and the Gang. What is it? There were just all kinds of fun little things, and they link to it on YouTube, and then they share these playlists with each other and really create kind of a fun interactive environment. The big thing I want you to know about collaboration for Hyperdocs, the doc itself becomes the collaboration point. The doc itself becomes this place where students can meet and figure out work together. it truly puts the learning in the hands of the students, and teachers are allowed to become facilitators and allowed to really dig in and help those groups that may need it. And it really gives students the opportunity to go forth and be awesome. So we'll take that out. That should be there. All right. Let's see here. Did you? All right. So this is we got probably about 5 minutes for Q&A. If your question didn't make it into the back channel chat, make sure that Chris gets it, because we can absolutely reach out. Chris, have we posted the link for the certificate document or the form in the back channel?
I just did it, so it should be showing up for everybody in a moment, but I'll drop it in the chat also.
Great. This gives us an opportunity. This is really, I really can't say enough how wonderful the opportunity for Hyperdocs truly creates a place for students to dig in and learn and do the hard work. And I would implore you, first of all, if you need help, this is my email. Please use it. Please, 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 please use it. If you have questions about Hyperdocs, if you need some help creating one, collaborating, anything like that, please feel free to shoot me an email. And also, these are the social media stuff that I have. So the fastest way you can probably get me is on Twitter. I probably respond fast. That and email will probably get you back the fastest. But I'm so thankful that you came. Thank you so much for coming. I hope that you got something that you can really use and kind of go forward with your students. And I'm super psyched that you all made time to come hang out with me on a dreary Thursday morning. So thank you so much.
And also, if everybody would keep posting your questions, I haven't been able to answer them all. If you keep posting your questions, we will get those answered for you.
I will tell you, you can download the presentation. It's on the top. It's the top link in the back channel chat. If somebody needs that, and there was another one that I'll get. And Julie, how do you get? Bonnie Harris, the cute pictures are Bitmoji, Bitmoji. I love it. It's wonderful. There's actually an add-on for Chrome. It's great. We love it. Thank you so much, guys. Yes, there will be a recording link. I would love to tell you when that will be, but I don't want to give you the wrong answer. But yes. Yes, Margaret Bunch, I will tell you there are a lot. If you go to the hyperdocs.co, there are some great pre-K, K1 examples for those primary years that you give a shot. And once again, just remember, Hyperdocs, HYPERDOCS.co. Okay, let me put the back channel back in here. Give me just a second, and I'll drop the back channel. Oh, nope, that's not it. That's forms. There's the back channel. Give me just 1 second. I'll get you guys the back channel one more time. Sorry, I'm trying to do this on the fly. All right, there's the back channel again. Should anybody need it? Thank you guys so much for coming in. We had a great. It was wonderful to have it. Absolutely, for the Bitmoji info. You guys are great. I hope you love it. All right. Thank you so much for coming. And if you've got any questions, I'll hang around for a few minutes and we'll get there. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate you. Thank you, Kelly. We're here to kind of hang out if anybody needs us for a minute. So thank you. I truly appreciate you guys coming in. Thank you so much for spending a rainy morning with me. Oh, thank you, Cindy. Oh, thank you. Okay. All right. Twana, hang with me. I'm gonna get you some stuff in just a second. Let's see here. The form for the credits, Anna, is on the back channel doc. Oh, thank you, Tanya. That's so sweet. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I already sent some of what you shared with me to my entire school staff.
Oh,
I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate I am always up for an email to help. Absolutely anything you guys need, just shoot me an email. Here, I'll drop the back channel link in there one more time in the chat.
And someone asked, will this back channel doc disappear? We'll leave it open. We'll probably turn off editing in a couple of days, but go ahead and post your questions and we'll answer. And then
Absolutely.
if you just save that link or add it to your drive, you'll have it.
And and it's also linked in the presentation as well. So yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate it. Sorry, Bonnie, that was my grandmother's name. Oh, it makes me smile every time I see it. Thank you so much. Oh, you guys are so you guys are rock stars. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us on a dreary, dreary Thursday.
So am I going to be able to talk to you right quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, Tawana, let's go ahead and dig in. Let's talk while everybody's kind of hanging out.
Okay.
Let me get you that. Let me get you that link to Cult.
I call myself a bit elementary right now, so there's a lot that I'm learning from scratch now. So.
And that's awesome. I love that you have dug in and you're not afraid of it. Like, that makes me super excited.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do this. Let me find the link to the Cult of Pedagogy, and I'll go ahead and drop it for you.
Now, the presentation that you just gave,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to download that so I can review it again.
Absolutely. Do you have access to the back channel doc?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at the top of the back channel doc, there is a link